Good morning, everybody. It's Victoria Lorien Fabish. How are you? I can only tell you that today I'm happy to be here chatting with you. We've had such an incredible, beautiful summer so far, and the vibe is warm and steamy, and we have no air conditioning, but that's okay because we're getting used to it. It's like living in the tropics. But today I want to talk about the courageous choice or the courageous act internally of deciding not to fulfill other people's expectations. And you know, it's such a theme in the office these days. I mean, it's a theme always, and I was having such a deep conversation with someone about the compulsion almost. Yes, I would call it a compulsion to fulfill other people's expectations for fear of people being angry at them, you know, to get that hit of belonging. You know, it's like a high. I feel, the fulfillment of other people's expectations, and I feel, this experience of, I get to belong experience. I mean, there are some very emotionally compelling reasons why you might want to, remain addicted, and I do call it an addiction. I do feel that it is the domain of an addiction-oriented kind of a thing where you fulfill other people's needs, wants, expectations of you, and you negate your own needs, wants, and expectations of yourself. In fact, with this type of addiction, you don't even go about the business of finding out what it is that you expect of yourself. And I feel like for a lot of people, myself included, a long while back, fulfilling other people's expectations is like almost a drug that needs to be taken. And what I just want to say is that I want you to develop the courage to feel the pain of not doing that. And I'm asking you to feel pain, but really when you have the courage to experience pain of deciding I'm not going to fulfill that other person's expectation, and these can be some compelling expectations, folks. Like, I mean, doing things for people that, are quite needed and necessary, but you don't have the energy to do, or it goes against your boundaries. For example, you might say, I was working a while back with a sibling of someone, so this is a sister of someone, and they've decided that they don't want to fulfill the expectation of providing money and care for their other sibling unless that other person is in treatment in some way, and because they've got some pretty serious addictions. And so the addiction is to say yes, I should say, to the need for groceries and all of these things. Meanwhile, the person receiving all of this is not doing their part of going to their 12-step program, working their addiction program. And so in the office, we're troubleshooting the notion that she's got to say no. She's got to not fulfill that obligation, or that what she perceives is an obligation. I call it an addiction to fulfilling someone else's need and expectation. And so she's essentially having to confront that profound fear and pain of saying no. And it's hard. It's really hard. But the good news is that once she really stuck to her own expectations of herself, was to never engage in unhealthy behavior, to really not work with the unhealthy behavior. And when we decide to not work with the unhealthy behavior, we disappoint other people. And because of that, it's painful. It's kind of painful. And not just kind of painful, sometimes very, very, very painful. But the good news is that as the neural pathway got used to, her neural pathway got used to saying no, her sibling started to really step it up and do their program and get into some serious recovery work. And then she said, well, listen, if you're in recovery, I can help. I can help you with those things, the groceries and the things to get you, to bridge you back to your life. But unless you're, her boundary was, unless you are in treatment of some kind or in recovery, I'm not gonna fulfill that expectation. So that was so courageous. And I don't know if anyone can relate, but enabling people with addictions, it's a very seductive game. It's a very, very difficult, painful experience. But I want to say that the number one most important thing that you have to remember when you are deciding not to fulfill other people's expectations is, wait for it, is you have to decide very deeply, write in a journal, talk with a therapist, what's important to you, what matters to you. For this person, what mattered is, I don't want to enable anybody who's engaging in unhealthy addictive behavior. For me, it's I don't want to do anything that that people want me to do that makes me exhausted. I have enough going on in my life, so if me doing something for them makes me exhausted, I have to self-care. And you have to decide what's important to you. What's your value? What's your value system? What's important to you? And have the courage to not transgress that, to not give in to that. Because other people, it will be very compelling to fulfill other people's expectations of you. It'll be very compelling, you know. All of those, you know, yummy feelings of belonging and of giving people what they want. I mean, it's just so yummy and so lovely, but it isn't usually, unless you're filled yourself, unless you're full yourself, your vessel is full. Giving from an empty vessel just doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. So I just want to have a quick conversation with you about other people's expectations are not something you want to necessarily be thinking about as a means to make yourself feel better. You want to be looking at ways to make yourself feel better and feel good based on your own experiences and your own value system. And that's not easy. Okay, this is a short one, but I want you to think about it. It's a valuable one, and please share this as you come across it. Have a beautiful day. Fulfill your own expectations. Come over to my website, visualizationworks.com, and continue to fill your own cup and your own being. And just know that your being will thank you. Keep having courageous conversations with yourself. Keep being courageous to be yourself and to have a healthy self-culture. Blessings. Have a beautiful day.